Look carefully, this girl wants to pretend to be pregnant. She picks up a sponge pad, puts it on her stomach, tightens the back, and then puts on her pregnant makeup. The action begins. She walks to the security guard and pretends to be dizzy on purpose. No one will be wary of a pregnant woman. The security guard wants to call a doctor for her. Rebecca said he was just a little hypoglycemic. Ask the security guard for a glass of juice. The security guard agreed, but what he didn't know was that this was Rebecca's trick. After the security guard left, Rebecca took out a special phone from his pocket. There was a strong electromagnetic wave in the phone. Anyone who answers the phone with a cell phone will immediately die. Here's your chance. Rebecca walked to the target ambassador. Unknowingly, he changed the ambassador's cell phone. Rebecca walked to the door. At this time, the fake cell phone rang. The ambassador picked it up to answer the phone. Rebecca ran away, but ran into another security guard. He found that Rebecca was a face. It means that this area prohibits the public from entering. Rebecca was about to leave, but the other party caught him. Did he find out? It turned out to be just a reminder to Rebecca to remember to take the juice. Rebecca pressed the elevator. Turn around and see the ambassador. He began to feel dizzy. He was speechless. The others were so scared that they went to the doctor. Rebecca had entered the elevator. Just closed the door. Suddenly a bodyguard came up. Rebecca pretended to be calm. At this time the bodyguard captain found that Rebecca might have a problem. Immediately used the intercom to tell the bodyguard in the elevator. Catch Rebecca. Unexpectedly, Rebecca took the lead in an attack. Used the juice bottle to kiss the bodyguard's head. Then shoot the bodyguard's gun. The bodyguard came back to his senses. Grab Rebecca's neck. Rebecca pressed the bodyguard on the ground, but was thrown away by the bodyguard. Rebecca took the opportunity to kick the gun away. The bodyguard was very powerful. Take Rebecca as a bumper car. Turn left and right. Rebecca was angry. A reverse forward roll. Use the backpack to hold the bodyguard. The bodyguard looked at the medicine and food. Take out the dagger hidden in the sock. Cut off the backpack. The two fought again. The elevator fell to the floor and opened the door. The boy at the door saw this surprising open mouth. He had never seen such a strong pregnant woman. The elevator rose again. The two's fight has not stopped. The bodyguard was very strong. He pinched Rebecca's neck with one hand. He was going to suck him. At the same time, he stabbed his stomach. Unexpectedly, no tomato juice flowed out. The bodyguard realized that his pregnancy identity was fake. Rebecca took the opportunity to kick the bodyguard with his thigh. The dagger pierced his body. The bodyguard looked at the food with no legs. Although the bodyguard was killed, Rebecca's identity was completely exposed. He had to rush out of the elevator. He fired a gun and retreated to the side. The bullet of the security guard could not save him. Rebecca stepped up to the banquet hall, used the chair to hold the door, temporarily blocked the security outside. But this also meant that he had no way to escape. The Alliance contacted his companion. He learned that there was an employee elevator in the northwest corner that could evacuate. But he couldn't even get out of this banquet hall. Rebecca looked at the glass and immediately thought of a way. He kept shooting at the glass. Then he threw the chair over. The glass was completely smashed. When the security guard broke in, he saw a gap in the glass. He recognized that Rebecca had jumped out of the window to escape. In fact, this was also part of his plan. While the bodyguard was not paying attention, he quietly slipped away behind them. Rebecca came to the staircase, took off his wig, took off his fake belly, put on an employee uniform, tied his hair up, and finally wore glasses to take a deep breath. With a new look, he walked through the hall in a bright way. He walked past the security guards. They didn't notice. Rebecca took the subway. He observed the people around him at all times, making sure that no security guards were chasing him, and was ready to go to the evacuation point sent by his companion. After getting off the subway, Rebecca changed his clothes again, took off his wig. This was his third outfit. Professional killers have to be vigilant at all times, change their outfits at all times, so that the enemy is always one step slower. But what he didn't know was that when he went to the evacuation point, his companion came to pick him up, but he was shot. His companion, who was supposed to guide him in the KTB room, was attacked. Suddenly, a strange man broke in and beat him up without hesitation. The two of them couldn't tell who was the winner, but the man suddenly attacked his companion's bird with a microphone. His combat power was immediately reduced and he was knocked down by the man. The man sent the evacuation point back to the organization members through the computer. While Rebecca was rushing over, the man also took action. He ambushed the members on the way to the evacuation point in advance. When they were about to come over, he took out the baby car in the bag and made a gesture. The two of them got out of the car and checked it out. While they were attracted by the fake doll, the man attacked from behind, but he didn't kill him. Looking at the broken light on the car, the man was a little worried. But now the most important thing is to see Rebecca as soon as possible. So he drove this car to the designated location. Rebecca will be here soon. As a killer, she saw the broken car light very quickly, and immediately realized that something was wrong. She turned around and ran. The man also knew that his identity was exposed. He hurriedly drove the car to chase him. Two legs PK four wheels car must not take advantage. Rebecca took out the gun in the bag and deliberately fired at the car to create chaos. The nearby traffic police heard the movement and rushed to come. Rebecca ran into the crowded crowd. The man wanted to get out of the car to chase him, but was stopped by the traffic police. He had to give up chasing the car and run away, and the man didn't want to hurt Rebecca, he just wanted to see him. The man's name is David. He is Rebecca's father. He is also a killer. He belongs to an organization with Rebecca. An accident happened 9 years ago during a mission. He had to fake his death and escape. For so many years, he has been hiding his identity to protect Rebecca. But recently he received news that Rebecca had been trained as a killer by the organization, so he decided to take him out of the organization. Unexpectedly, the plan failed. At the same time, head of the organization also learned the news. This organization does intelligence business. Juno, as an American, secretly sold U.S. intelligence to the enemy. The reason why Rebecca killed the ambassador was that he was afraid that his treason would be investigated by the senior officials of the CIA. Unexpectedly, there was still a mistake. Juno called Rebecca and suspected that he had leaked the news. Rebecca didn't expect Juno to say that. For so many years, he has regarded Juno as his family. It was obviously uncomfortable to be suspected by his family. Rebecca decided to find out the killer and prove his innocence. At that time, the killer, David, bought rubber gloves and a vacuum cleaner and wiped all corners of the car. He didn't leave any traces. Sure enough, a senior killer is cautious. He had promised his wife that if the operation failed this time, he would never get involved with the organization again. But looking at the train back home, David couldn't get in. He still wanted to find Rebecca, who was his biological daughter after all. David told his wife to get in the car and go to the safe house as soon as possible. Don't leave any trace. Then go back to the parking lot and write down the specific coordinates on the card. One stroke broke the window of the car. The car suddenly made a deafening alarm. David called a taxi to find his good brother. Last time he helped David escape from death. This time he also asked him to help with the new passport. When he found Rebecca, he was going to take him with him to leave South Korea. At the same time, Rebecca found the car and saw the coordinates on the card. He immediately took the team to this address. He was attracted by the sugar cake on the table as soon as he came in. But now is not the time to relax. David had already set up a trap here. Suddenly, there was a violent explosion. There were only 2 people left in the small squad. Rebecca and his partner went to the explosion site. They saw the other party running away from the window. The 2 immediately split up. His partner came to the warehouse and faced David first. David cut off his pistol directly and threw his partner on the ground. His partner stopped him and controlled him, but he was knocked down by David. He took the opportunity to pick up the pistol next to him and wanted to kill David. David's strength was stronger than Mark's. He put his partner on the ground and knocked him out with a gun. When Rebecca arrived, he only saw his partner on the ground. The Alliance followed the trace and came in to see the picture of the table and his father. The next second David walked out. Rebecca couldn't believe it. The father who died 9 years ago actually appeared in front of him. Rebecca couldn't accept it for a moment. 9 years of my life. Where have you been? David had to explain that what I did was to protect you. I hope you can go with me. Rebecca was excited and knocked David out directly. Then she called Juno and asked if she knew her father was still alive, so she sent her to deal with her father on purpose. But Juno didn't know David was still alive. Otherwise, she would have killed him. Send the message quickly. David woke up at this time. He wasn't angry with Rebecca for knocking him out. Instead, he apologized to her first after he woke up. After all, he left for 9 years. At this time, his partner appeared. Rebecca killed him at the moment he shot him. After that, he searched his partner's phone and saw the message Juno sent him. He ordered to kill his father. It's not safe here now. The 2 had to leave first. When they came to a convenience store, David said that the 2 would go to get a new passport first and then leave here. Rebecca was still angry with David and threw the snacks on the ground on purpose. Then she used the excuse to go to the bathroom. In fact, she called Juno and asked her why she wanted to kill David. Juno said David was like a time bomb. It was dangerous to stay with him. She hoped Rebecca would come back soon. There's always a place for you here. David saw Rebecca hadn't come out of the bathroom yet and rushed in. He found the window open. He thought Rebecca had run away and was going to chase him, but he found Rebecca next to the car. What he did was just a little temper. He deliberately made David anxious. The 2 drove to the upper right house to get a passport, but they met a traffic police car on the way. And this is actually Juno's hand. She tracked Rebecca's phone and knew where the 2 were. That's why she hired the police to set up an ambush here. As expected, the traffic police saw the 2 and let them get out of the car for inspection. Just like a father and a daughter, they would never be manipulated. David suddenly hit the traffic police. Rebecca had to shoot the traffic police. Fortunately, David stopped in time to avoid a life. Rebecca fired a gun at the traffic police's arm. The 2 quickly withdrew. David stopped a car on the street and left, with Rebecca in the car. Realizing the danger, David decided to change his plan and come to another safe house for the time being. As a killer for many years, David naturally understood that the reason why Juno was able to track down so quickly was that there must be a mole around him. So he coaxed Rebecca to drink the wine he wanted. When he fell asleep, he turned over his things and found that Rebecca had called Juno. When he woke up, Rebecca also admitted that he had not revealed the contents of the phone call. He also blamed his father for saying that he was good for him. Is it to make him an orphan? David had to tell the truth. 9 years ago, he was ordered to track down the terrorist organization. But on the computer of the terrorist organization headquarters, he found all the details of Rebecca, including his school curriculum. These people kill people and set fire without doing anything wrong. Once they are targeted, it is difficult to escape. But he didn't have time to go home. The operation team was ambushed. Only he survived. He knew that as long as he didn't die, those people would definitely catch Rebecca. He had no choice but to fake his death and escape to keep Rebecca safe. But for the past 9 years, he missed his daughter every day. So he didn't hesitate to expose his identity and came to find Rebecca. Is that why you didn't come back for me? The knot between the father and daughter was finally untied, but the accident always came in a hurry. His wife called David. He was followed. David immediately asked him to find a safe place to hide. When David arrived at the station, he found that a lot of Juno's people had been ambushed here. He was the first person to electrocute. He dragged him to the corner, took the radio, and found out the address of the others. Then the second person to be struck on the second floor directly declared war on Juno. You hurt my family and I will destroy everything you care about. He was ready to fight alone. I didn't expect Rebecca to come to help. The two of them deliberately drew the guard away to buy time for his wife to get in the car. Then the father and daughter fought one on their own. Rebecca P.K. Fatty Shen. From the figure, Rebecca didn't have an advantage. But he was more flexible than Fatty Shen. He used the wall to jump on Fatty Shen and killed him very quickly. David also quickly solved the situation. When David went down the stairs, he ran into the killer on the front. He dodged and killed him with a knife. He was also kicked down the stairs with one foot. David had to pull out his belt to resist and take the opportunity to tie the other person's hand. Wan Yao fell the killer to the ground. When the two were fighting, the train entered the station. The train only stopped for 2 minutes. They had to fight quickly. At the critical moment, Rebecca came to support. He fired at the killer and took the opportunity to catch up with the train. When the killer chased over, the train had started. Finally, he met his wife. Rebecca just found out that David had a little daughter, and she was already 7 years old. He suddenly felt dissatisfied. His father had been hidden for a few years. It turned out that he gave all his love to another daughter. But at this time, David hadn't noticed Rebecca's emotions. He hid in the bathroom and called Shang Yu. He proposed to meet in person at 8 o'clock tonight. The most important thing now is to get out of here quickly. With Junog's habit, he must ambush in advance at the next station. The fact is that Junog had already sent a team to deploy at the next station of the train, in order to ensure a successful plan, and to let the killer go. But what he didn't expect was David took action in advance. Before the train reached the station, he pulled the emergency stop button. The train was forced to stop. The four of them took the opportunity to escape. According to the map, they wanted to retreat at the nearby train station. Let the killer get there quickly. Junog guessed right. At this time, David did stop a truck. He asked the driver to wait for them. The driver agreed for the sake of his little daughter. When he left, David kept an eye on him. He deliberately left a fingerprint on another truck. The killer was really confused. He hurried up to stop him. He pulled the driver down and let him open the door. However, it was empty inside. He didn't notice anything. When David left, the four of them passed by him. The four of them successfully arrived at the Fushan security office. The killer followed David. So according to the clue, he found Shang Yu. As soon as they met, the two of them started a fight. But the killer was holding a knife. Shang Yu was unarmed. He was soon chased to the kitchen corner. Although he fought hard to resist, he was still stabbed in the waist by the killer. The killer was very steady. He didn't admit defeat when he saw Shang Yu. He stabbed his abdomen for the second time. He forced him to ask where David was. Shang Yu and David are sworn brothers. He would rather give up his own life than reveal it. Shang Yu hated the Northwest on the spot. The killer changed according to the computer. He learned that the two of them met at 8 o'clock tonight to exchange passports. He immediately reported this news to Junog. Junog decided to send her son and another team to meet the killer. He told the killer to protect his son, and he said, if Ali didn't want to come back, he could kill him on the spot without mercy. Junog is really a cruel man. Not only that, Junog also found Lao He of the Central Intelligence Bureau and gave him Ali's information. The assassination of the ambassador was all on Ali. He also provided detailed evidence to show that he was a rebellious antisocial madman and quickly cleared his relationship with him. At that time, even if he found out that Junog had betrayed the country, he could also blame Ali. At the same time, David came to the street according to the agreement. But he couldn't see Shang Yu. No one answered the phone for him. David had a bad feeling for a moment. The next second, he saw Junog's men and Junog's son. Yan left the alley. But the way he left was seen by the killers on the second floor. The killer didn't rush to shoot, but followed him all the way. He was going to kill them all at that time. After David returned home, Yan told this news to his family. He decided to set out for the docks immediately, and gave the captain $1,000, and asked him to help him go to Juji Island. Unexpectedly, the four people just got on the boat, and chased after the soldiers. David secretly gave his wife a pistol to protect herself. He asked her to take her daughter to hide in the boat. No matter who knocked on the door, no one could open the door. David and Ali were ready to fight. Ali fired a gun next to him to attract firepower and gave David a bomb to buy time. David calculated the time, lit the oil can, and retreated with Ali. When the chasers came after him, the bomb just exploded. A violent explosion echoed through the sky. This explosion took most of the chasers' lives. There were only 3 people left. The killer took action separately. He went after David, the second fight of the two. This time, they all took their weapons. Professional killers in the world of PK. At the same time, the fight was fierce. No one could take advantage of it. In the fight, David was tangled by the rope. The killer hurriedly knocked down the anchor. The rope kept pulling and just grabbed David's hands. He couldn't move for a while. The killer picked up the knife on the ground and slowly approached. He stabbed him fiercely. At the critical moment, David dodged. He took his pistol and fired at the killer. The killer was hit into the water. David won this round completely. On the other hand, Rebecca PK, his son. Although his son has been following Juno, he doesn't have the ability to fight independently. Rebecca treated him like a cat catching a mouse. His son's handguns ran out of bullets very quickly. He had to run away. Unexpectedly, David was knocked down. David saw that he was going to hurt his daughter. He took out his gun and sent him to the Northwest. In order to survive, his son didn't hesitate to sell Juno. It was 9 years ago that he sold all of David's information to a terrorist organization. That's how they found out so much about Rebecca. David and Juno used to be best friends. They founded this organization together. But Juno betrayed David for the sake of independence. I trusted you, but you betrayed me. David threatened Juno. You once took my daughter away. Now it's my turn to take your stuff away. Juno heard a gunshot in the phone. But David didn't kill his son. He just locked him up. After that, he ate with his father-in-law's family. His father-in-law is a famous businessman. He owns an airline company. He has a background in Korea. Juno couldn't find any news. David asked his father-in-law for help. They need an unofficial visa and the security channel to enter Japan. They need to make sure that everyone gets on the ship to Japan 2 days later. His father-in-law agreed for the sake of his daughter. David's problem was solved. Juno was still in a hurry. She called David and offered to make a deal. As long as David let his son go, she would let David go. Listening to Juno's recording, David had a good idea. He deliberately instigated a mother-son relationship in front of his son. He tried to make a deal to exchange his son's life for his family's life. But Juno refused. She also released a compilation recording. No, I refuse to think about that. No trade. His son's heart was broken, and David instigated a divorce. His son said everything he knew. Juno once sold confidential information to the enemy. The ambassador was the middleman. He was afraid that the matter would be exposed. So he sent Rebecca to assassinate the ambassador. It seems that the old man of the CIA found something. So he came to Korea for investigation. In this way, David could give the relevant evidence to the old man. The old man would kill Juno. David immediately decided to go back to Seoul. Before leaving, he asked his wife to take her daughter and her father-in-law's family to a safe place to hide. There was nothing to worry about if he sent them away. David and his daughter came to Seoul. First, he paid attention to the assistant of the old man. Rebecca deliberately knocked down the assistant. David took the opportunity to copy the assistant's mobile phone information. He learned about the recent schedule of the old man. He came to the food street where the old man was going. He called the old man directly. He said he wanted to meet alone and talk for a minute. The old man also knew David's name. If he wanted to kill him, he would have died a long time ago. So he agreed to meet. David deliberately created chaos. The old man took the opportunity to dump the security team. The two met successfully. David made a deal. He was responsible for providing evidence of Juno's crime. The old man got the right to pardon David and Rebecca. David hesitated for a moment and finally agreed. David deliberately put his son in a position not far from the meeting. When he left, he told him what you told me. Juno will know sooner or later. He won't forgive people casually. Obviously, David was still provoking Li Jian. At the same time, Juno received the news. The old man's signal disappeared for nearly a minute. They tracked the son's mobile phone. They found that there was less than a meter away from where the old man's signal disappeared. Juno had a bad feeling for a moment. Facing the son who returned safely, he still had doubts. The next day, David and Li Jian were watching Juno on the roof. They found that he had made breakfast for his son. Juno's mother wanted to know what her son had said to David during the time when her son was kidnapped. Her son knew that he couldn't hide it from her. He had to tell Juno the truth. She said it was okay, but she acted coldly. After Juno and her son left, David and Li Jian took the opportunity to sneak into the surveillance room of the building to delete all the surveillance footage of them entering the building and to invade the surveillance system of the building to make it easier for them to observe the situation at any time. They sneaked into their son's room. They came in to speed up the process of Juno's mother and son's return. David installed an eavesdropper on the wall to make his son think that Juno had been watching him. He deliberately hung the frame so that his son could find it. The two rushed out of the room a few seconds before his son entered the door. Then the high-altitude speedboat left perfectly. At this time, his son really found something wrong. He took off the frame and found the eavesdropper behind the wall. This time, he was even more suspicious that his mother was watching him all the time. After all this, David came to find Lao He. He suspected that Lao He had a spy in the high level and asked him to draft an internal confidential memorandum. He said that there was a senior confidential witness who wanted to testify against the death of the ambassador. This time, he could lure the snake out of the hole and catch the hidden spy inside. As expected, the spy was hooked soon. He told Juno in person. But after the mantis caught the cicada, Juno saw the spy. Lao He saw it all. Juno thought the witness in the document was his son. He asked his subordinates to keep an eye on his son's every move. But Rebecca didn't think that was enough. He wanted his son to betray Juno completely. He needed to start from his weakness. His son was most afraid of death. As long as his son thought that Juno was going to kill him, his son would definitely turn to Lao He. At night, the bodyguard sent his son home. He didn't forget to report to Juno in the car. Even his son went to the bathroom several times today. Every time they were separated for a long time, they reported in great detail. His son saw this scene and thought that Juno was going to kill him. After returning home, he found Juno at home. He asked his son to leave Korea tonight. He went to pack his things now. His son didn't want to. "I've been with you and done so much for you. But you want to kick me out." He took the car key and left home. At this time, David made a move on his son's car in advance. After that, he knocked out the bodyguard. He drove the bodyguard's car to chase his son. Rebecca also joined the chase. The father and daughter were one before and one after. They stuck their son in the middle and forced his son to enter their planned route. His son found the bodyguard's car behind him. They ran away together. David chased his son behind him. After that, he pretended not to follow him. His son thought he had escaped, but he didn't know he had fallen into David's trap. David found the right time to cut off his son's car's power supply. The car was forced to stop. His son suddenly heard a countdown sound in the car. He got out of the car in a hurry and left. Unexpectedly, after a short distance, the car exploded. Just because I didn't listen to Juno, he sent someone to blow up my car. This time, his son was more sure that Juno was going to kill him. He quickly contacted Lao He. He promised to cooperate with his investigation. Lao He promised to provide him with full day-to-day protection. Then he told David the good news. Next, even if his son only said a little truth, it would also be an evidence to prove Juno's innocence. Received this good news, David and Rebecca drank and celebrated. From now on, they are finally safe. But it's not over yet. The two found that Juno's subordinates were looking for them. There were too many people, they couldn't beat them. They had to find a way to evacuate. David let Rebecca take a step first. The two met at the river, but when David dragged the chase to the river, he saw the killer hit Rebecca and carried him onto the car. David stopped a car on the side of the road to catch up with him. He drove straight to the end of the road. There was a speed and passion on the road. Unexpectedly, he hit a car. David was thrown out. The car was also broken. He could only watch the car go far. Juno took Rebecca's head off. He wanted to say something harsh, but Rebecca told him directly. David and I blew up your son's car. He thought you did it. He has already turned to Lao He. You just wait to be investigated by the CIA. In fact, the reason why Rebecca did this was mostly to take revenge on Juno. After all, it was Juno who caused David to fake his death and escape. He was also forced to be a killer. Juno listened and threw a chair. He went out to confirm the news. When he came back, he was calm again. He could still eat hamburgers leisurely. Juno figured it out. With Rebecca's ability, no matter what difficulties he faced, he could take risks. As long as Rebecca can stand on his side, it's safe. He deliberately provoked the relationship between Rebecca and David. I did betray David, but with his ability, he could come back to you completely. But he didn't. Instead, he gave birth to a little daughter. Do you think you are more important than your little daughter in David's heart? After saying that, he threw the key to Rebecca. Let him choose freely. Rebecca was a little hesitant. These days, he saw David getting along with his little daughter. It seemed that they were more like a family. So he decided to follow Juno. He wanted to see if David really cared about him. At the same time, Lao He led people to check Juno's organization. All the hard drives and computers here should be taken away. After Juno learned the news, he decided to take Rebecca abroad immediately. On the other hand, David came to ask his father-in-law for help. He wanted his father-in-law to prepare some helpers, cars, weapons, and other equipment. His father-in-law agreed for the sake of his daughter. David didn't expect his father-in-law to be so powerful. In just 10 minutes, he prepared all the necessary equipment for the operation. David ambushed on Juno's path in advance. He cut the power box, disturbed the traffic light at the intersection, and the road became congested for a moment. Juno had no choice but to order the conversion. And in the middle of this, David was scared. He notified the first team to start the operation. The cement car stopped in the middle of the road. Juno had to change the road for the second time and enter the abandoned factory. David gave the order. All the exits here were blocked. Rebecca realized that David must have come. He smiled. It seems that David still cares about him, but Juno couldn't be happy. He ordered his men to break the gasoline can and leave. David drove to chase him. He ran into the first car and threw a bomb inside. The car exploded directly. Soon the second car was also blocked by the truck. His men found the right time to put down the heavy goods. The car was crushed. Soon there was only Juno's car left on the scene. Juno asked the killer to find a way out. Unexpectedly, the killer just left. Rebecca attacked from behind. He grabbed the driver's gun and sent him to the northwest. In fact, he still hates Juno. On the other hand, David met the killer for the third time. This time, not only for his daughter, but also for the innocent victim. The two of them opened up close to each other. David shot directly. The knife hit the head. He almost hit the bird. Then he used the chain to hold the killer. He hit him hard on the steel pipe. David kept hitting the killer on the ground. But the killer didn't give up. He grabbed the wooden stick next to him and wanted to fight back, but he was sent away by David's dagger first. When David finished the battle, he saw only Rebecca and Juno left on the scene. You came after my family. He raised his gun and wanted to kill Juno, but Rebecca stopped him. He wanted David to let him go. He didn't want his father to be like Juno. David hesitated for a moment and agreed. It's finally over. Rebecca returned to David. At this time, Juno took a private plane. He was going to find a better place to start over. The family of David finally reunited. They ate in the restaurant. Everyone laughed happily. Before leaving, his wife and Rebecca went to the bathroom together. It seems that the two of them have become closer. But after a long time, they didn't come out. David noticed something was wrong. When he came to the bathroom, his wife was injured and sitting on the floor. Rebecca was gone. David asked who did this. Was it Rebecca? But his wife couldn't speak. The end of the story.